There's not much to do when all I can is thinking about you. Not doing well, don't know where you are, 'cause you're not.
Well, my fan is on. It's hot, nothing's new. No makeup, no nothing. I just got home and I'm tired. And this is my August and September reading wrap up. But I need my laptop because I can never remember what books I read. I just always need my laptop because I need to make sure I know what I rated in my books. Or if I need to bump up my rating. So let me go into Goodreads. We got my book in order. Anyways, hi guys. Welcome to a new video. Today is my combined August and September reading wrap up because in the month of August, I read one book. I literally only read one book. So here it is. Let's start with, okay, this is good. Let's start with the book that I couldn't get through in the month of August, and that was Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. As you can see, it's bigger than my head. Are we surprised? I don't think so. This book is thick, heavy in both ways. Physically heavy and mentally heavy. My gosh. I can't remember, but I did write in a review on my Goodreads and I said, I finally finished one book this month and holy wow, what even is this? Only thing that's on my mind right now is Bridget and I'm very, very concerned. If you guys watched my reading slump diaries, I'm concerned for Bridget. I'm mostly concerned for her. But I enjoyed reading this book. I think this one I rated it a little bit higher than the first Magnolia Parks book. I rated this a 4.75 stars because this book has a little bit more depth into Magnolia and BJ, and there's a little bit of resolution because there's never a resolution for the two of them, but you know, we get something for the two of them. We see a lot of the other characters as well, and I loved it. 4.25 stars. How long did it took me? Oh, it took me 10 days to read this book, but I'm pretty sure it took me a while longer. I'm not so sure that I started this in the 16th of August, but that's the book that I couldn't get through. Then I moved on to a lighter read, and it is Katherine Sensor's The Bodyguard. This book has been talked about since last year, I'm pretty sure. I saw Haley Fam. I saw her talking about how cute of a book it is, and when I started reading this book, it reminded me of the movie Did You Hear About the Morgans? It was cute. Honestly, it was set in Texas, and I thought that it was just the perfect book to read in August, the closing of August actually. So I read this book at the end of August and 2 days into September. So I think this was a really great palate cleanser after reading a series because this is a standalone, and I think that this one was a really great read for me, and so I gave it a 4 stars. So that was a really sweet book. And I kind of forgot what this is about, but I think he was a celebrity or an actor or something. He was a star and she is the bodyguard, and so they fake date because they had to go to his family's ranch, and so she pretends to date him because they can't know that she is his bodyguard. We love a fake dating trope. The next book. I picked up this book early July, I think, and finally decided to pick it up again because I thought that September was the right month to start reading mysteries, thrillers, and what way to start this season with a Riley Sager book, and it is The House Across the Lake. I can't really, this is kind of subjective I think, because I'm trying to think. I've never really read a pure mystery thriller book as this, and so I'm kind of new to this world, but I'm gonna say it was a 4.75 stars because honestly, when I picked it back up, I think I read 70 pages into this book in July, I guess, but then I kind of stopped reading it. But then once I picked it up again, I immediately remember what happened, and I just went through the entire book in 3 days. It's not that thick, honestly. I think it's only like 300 pages. This is a book about this girl. Her name is Casey. She goes to the lake house to sober up. She watches her neighbors who lives across the lake in a glass house, and she basically feels suspicious about the couple that lives across from her, and so she's spying on them and all of that. And yeah, it's kind of like a whirlwind, and the plot twist was crazy. I almost guessed the plot twist, but then I was like unsure once I was almost at the plot twist, and so I was like, book, I think it was in one of my reading slump diaries, and I think this book actually got me out of it. But then there was a book that got me into a reading slump just right after. But for this book, I'm safely going to say this was a 4.75 stars. Okay. This book took me a while. It put me in a tiny bit of a reading slump. There was a vlog prior to this video, and let me just say, although I did have crazy reactions, although I said I loved this book, now that I have time to process this, I kind of want to give my thoughts on this book. And that is none other than Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score. As I said, I will always say it again, this series, the Knock 'Em Out series by Lucy Score, will always be one of my favorite series. But for this particular book, I cannot say that this is my favorite. I will have to say that this one was my least favorite, because although I do understand that we needed a background to Sloane and Lucian's situation, I just thought that we would be more emotionally involved in each other's lives. But in this book, it made it feel like it was solely focused on the physical attractions of the two main characters, which, I mean, not so surprising because the last two books had a little bit of those, and in a Lucy Score book you can never really escape spice. But honestly, I thought that this book was very, very spice driven. I don't know, I'm not calling this a bad book at all. If anything, I do love this series. I actually, the coming together of all of the characters that were in this book, in this series, didn't really bother me, because I actually really liked it when I was reading how the other characters, how Lena, how Naomi, who are the two guys? I can't remember now. Knox and Nash were in this book as well. I actually kind of liked them because they were the two power couples of this series, and I actually really did like them. And so seeing them coming back together in this book and then the finale was just, it was great. I think I rated this book a 4.5 stars. I think I might have to bump it down to a 4-star now that I think of it, because after I finish talking about this book, I'm going to be talking about a book that is going to be my most favorite book of the year, and I'm pretty sure that no other book will ever contend to this book that I just read. Wait for it. But anyways, again, no hate to the Knock 'Em Out series. It will always be one of my favorite series by heart. I'm just solely giving my processed opinion, because I feel like in reading vlogs, I give very, very raw reviews because I don't have time to process the book as I wrap up the video. But in reading wrap-ups, I feel like I have time to really just think about everything that I've read, process through scenes, process through the story, process through the plot. And now I've come to my senses and I can officially give an official rating. So initially, for Things We Left Behind, I'm gonna have to give it a 4 stars. It's not my favorite book in the series, but I still think that the Knock 'Em Out series is a really, really great series, and I love it. That's it. Now we come to the next book, which, spoiler alert, I will be uploading a reading vlog for this next book because I unintentionally made a vlog. Get ready for this because Miss Sarah Caroli has been hyping this book up all over, and there's a reason why she loves this book so much, and I fully trust her opinions on books. And I wanted to get into a fantasy read. I feel like fall is the best season to read fantasy books, especially September going into October. So are you ready for it? The next book that I'm going to be talking about, it's still making me, it just still makes my heart flutter. Okay, it's Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This freaking book is a 5-star, and I can say for a fact that this book is on top of my Roman Empire. That's it. Everybody has been talking about the Roman empires. This book is my Roman Empire. I love this book so much. I wrote a review on Goodreads and I only wrote, "This book is simply the best book I've ever read!" Exclamation points. I mean, the amount of banter, the amount of adorable banters had me captivated, had me while I was reading this book. There were certain banters where I just had to pause and I had to like look somewhere else and just take a breath, because you guys seriously need to read this book because it's just amazing. I loved it. I picked this book up because one day I was out with my mom and I forgot to bring a book. I went to the bookstore, tried to pick up a book, and then I just remembered that I've seen this book been talked about somewhere. I was like, I think I know someone who has been talking about this book, and I remember vividly seeing this at my local bookstore. And so I thought, hey, why not give it a try? Why not try and read this book? Maybe, just maybe, I will get into a fantasy mood. It did. It really did, because this book got me out of my reading slump. But I will have to say that I read this book, I think, over 2 weeks. I'm not ashamed of it because I took my sweet time reading this book. There were days when I just wanted to rush through the book because how much I loved it. But there were days when I just wanted to take my sweet time because I just didn't want this book to end. And if you guys didn't know, this book is going to become a trilogy. And the second book comes out next year. May next year. I mean, how can someone expect me to wait for this book? Because I'm just, when I finished this book, I immediately started reading the what's it called, the snippet for the next book, and I was just, yo, I can't wait for May 2024. Honestly, I can't wait. I seriously can't. And let me just tell you a little bit about this book, because I've been rambling on and on about this book. I feel like this entire video will just be me talking about this book. But basically, this book is about Peyton. She is an ordinary, basically, at this land, this specific land kingdom. There was a disease plaguing in their kingdom, and so some of the people became elites who had supernatural abilities, and then there were people who remained ordinaries. And so the elites feel that the ordinaries are the diseased, and so they try to cast out the ordinaries. So Peyton here, she's an ordinary, but something happens and she's put into the trial for the elites, and then she has to fake it until she makes it in the trials, because basically the trials is life or death. And she meets Kai, who is an elite, and Kai is a shameless flirt. And so thus is born the banter between the two of them, because Peyton here, she's stubborn but very strong. Love a strong female main character, we love that. And Kai here, she calls him a cocky bastard. So that's funny. I feel like that's very funny, but that is so true. He is a shameless flirt, he's a cocky bastard, and I think that those two words would describe him very well. And so me just like talking about this book is like sending me, honestly, I really want to reread this book. That's how you know that the book is amazing, when you just finished it and want to reread it. I honestly finished it last night. Yeah, I finished it last night, and I just really want to reread it already, because how can you expect me to hold on until next year to read the second book? I mean, I'm just gonna read to you a quote from this book. Hold on. I annotated this book like crazy. Okay, here's a line. There's 2 lines in this page that I annotated, and this was from Peyton's point of view. She said, "Everything about him is lethal. That smile, those eyes, that cunning mind of his." And then he says, "Are you sure you'll be able to focus on dancing, or will I be too much of a distraction, darling?" The way he calls her darling is just it had me blushing. I was a little girl as I read this book. It was like, I feel like I was a baby and this was my blanket. Like, I'm that attached to this book. If I haven't said it already, 5 stars. Gotta go read it. This is a very recommended book. I have been talking about this book on my Instagram nonstop, and you will be hearing me talk about this book because the next video you'll be getting from me is a reading vlog for this book. This book concludes my August and September reading wrap up. Not so bad. I feel like this would be the normal amount of book that I read in a month, but because I've been so busy for the last 2 months because school is back in session, I'm already back in class, and I'm also going to start my internship. I don't know how much time I will have to start to read, but I'm hoping I do have time to read because honestly there are a lot of books that I really want to get to. I don't know, I'll be busy. I have my thesis to make, I have my internship. I don't even know when I'll have time to read, but let's just pray that I do have time because I think I might go crazy if I don't read a book. All of that being said, that concludes my August, September combined reading wrap up. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!